Good afternoon. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just check that we are on. Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Let me check on this one. Hey, hello, Chiara. Yes, we are on. Let me put this here. Yeah, wonderful. Hello, Clemente. Hello, how are you? Are you all ready for the end of 2020? For the arrival of 2021? Okay. Let's wait a few more moments for other people to connect. In the meantime, let me position this. Well, I'm not touching anything anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to make anything fall. Okay. This is funny. You see, I can see comments on this phone, and I can see. We try. Yes, we do try. And I can see the ones on the other one. Okay. Yeah, we try. We do our best. You know what makes me laugh, guys? When I read. Oh, by the way, thank you for being with me this hour, everyone. This is actually my very last live for 2020. Thank you that you're watching this later on. Thank you, Bridges of Light International, and thank you, live. So yes, I was saying it makes me smile when I read. We all do. I mean, I do it as well. We say, you know, oh, may the new year bring us whatever, you know, as if the new year was actually doing something for us. Well, no, I mean, either we are making whatever we want to make of any time now or the new year or whatever, or otherwise nothing is going to change. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's not the new year that is going to bring us anything new. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, nothing is going to be changed. Either we change, if we change something, everything is going to change, but even in the next 5 minutes, something can change. If I change. If I don't change, everything stays the same. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, the concept of time as well, it's just a concept. I mean, it's just we decided, oh, now it's now and tomorrow is tomorrow. But reality is that it's now. As they say, the eternal moment of now. That's what it is. Which, yeah, actually, we can connect this with today's topic, which is this. And this is a question for everybody. So please start asking questions, comments, tell me your opinion. Okay, this is the question, which is actually a question and a statement at the same time, and I'll tell you why. Hello, Sylvia, welcome. Every conclusion is an illusion. I repeat it. Every conclusion is an illusion. Personally, okay, this is a question, but I made it into a question because I see it as a statement. In other words, to me, if you ask me, and yes, every conclusion to me nowadays is an illusion. But, hello, Walter. Hello, Walter. I don't speak. But Walter, we'll talk about this in the next Italian live. I want to speak about this as well in Italian. Okay, but let's see what the dictionary says about the word conclusion, okay? Again, just so that we are all on the same page, so to speak. Conclusion, I'm literally reading what, if you Google conclusion, this is what appears in the dictionary, okay? It's a noun, okay? The end or finish of an event, process, or text. Okay, similar to conclusion are this word. End, ending, finish, close, closure, termination, wind up, cessation, culmination, finale, or finale in English, I guess, denouement, coda, peroration, epilogue, okay? And the opposite of conclusion are beginning and start, okay? This is the first meaning. Then there's a second meaning, which is the second definition of a conclusion, which is says, a judgment or decision reached by reasoning. And similar, there are also deduction, inference, interpretation, reasoning, opinion, judgment, decision, diagnosis, verdict, determination, assumption, presumption, supposition, conjecture, and surmise. Okay? Right. And Sylvia says, conclusion makes me... Right. Okay. I personally think that it all depends how deep we want to go and what we identify with. In other words, on a human level, on this materialistic world, not every conclusion is an illusion, because if we identify with who we are, with our body, with Luca that is born in 1970 and will die whenever, yes, in that respect, everything that I am aware of only in this lifetime and only what I can think with my mind in a mental way, everything, conclusions do exist. Yes, conclusions are our stories for, yes, Chiara, exactly, that's what, exactly. For the mind, the mind, something is because we reason, okay, given certain data, certain facts, I conclude that this is it. For example, this 2020, okay? Because of what is happening, hello Irma, because of all the worldwide events that happened in 2020, I could be concluded that this year has been, well, I could say disastrous, okay? If I based this year on the fact that, and it's a fact, that many people died, okay? So I could say this year has been disastrous, so that's my conclusion. I could say this year has been wonderful, okay? If I focus on maybe something else, on the fact that globally many people are gaining more awareness, it's been the springboard for us all to contextualize many things that we were believing is with more time for ourselves. Do I make sense? According to, hello Wendy, great seeing you here. I'm happy to see you. So according to what my rational mind is focused upon, I could actually conclude, and of course it's all arguable by the way, but you know I like to steer things around because I don't think there's one fixed reality. So I could say 2020 as being a terrible year, okay? That's my conclusion. Or somebody else, or me, I could think of something else and say, actually 2020 has been a wonderful year. Do I make sense? So if I base my conclusion on something I focused upon rationally, something fixed, of course, I can judge it, regard it as being terrible, wonderful, or in many different ways. If I identify myself with who I truly am, with my essence, with the fact that I am a spiritual being and life is infinite, and this is a dot in infinity, I think we could say that every conclusion is an illusion. right? Illusion, why? Because it's temporarily, because again, it can change. So it's not absolute. So something that is not absolute, something that is not everlasting, it's illusionary, so to speak, for the soul. Well, it could be regarded like that. Do I make sense? Again, I would say, like many other subjects, that it could be, every conclusion could be an illusion. Yes. Every conclusion could be an illusion. No. At the same time, it could be, it could not be, it could always be, it could never be. Do I make sense? It depends what we are focusing upon. Chiara says, does our soul make conclusions? I don't think so, because I think our mind makes conclusions. I think our ego makes conclusion. It thinks that everything is finite, and it wants to make the last verdict, so to speak. Oh, this is it, and it's the snapshot, the picture. Oh, this has happened, therefore I am concluding that it is this way or that way. Our soul, I don't think, is ever concluding anything, because I think our soul knows its intricate nature, and our soul is so aware, well, I think, of course, I'm not saying that it is so aware of being connected to every other soul and with everything, that knows that life is infinite, you see. And if we were aware that life is infinite, that nothing ever ends, like Sylvia was saying, that, you know, death is an illusion, you see. But death, we believe it's the ultimate conclusion. For most of the people on the planet, still, they think that death is the ultimate conclusion. That's it. It's the end of the movie. Which it is, if we are fixed on this on this earthly existence. You see, I wouldn't be arguing with them. I would say, yeah, that's what you believe, so yeah. Although, if you open yourself up to the fact that life continues, right, that this is just a dot into infinity, death is not the end. But it depends what you define as life. You see, nowadays I define my life as being eternal. So I think I will keep on living, and I don't finish after my body dies. So life is eternal. So in that respect, death, it's not a conclusion. And with the awareness that life is eternal, meaning is there no beginning, it has no beginning and no end, nothing can be concluded, can it? Unless you choose it is. And again, you can choose that something is a conclusion based upon your parameters, what you believe, you know, what you believe to focus upon. Do I make sense? Because I think it could be just as inaccurate of me to say that no, conclusions is always an illusion. Well, not necessarily. If we are framing something in a time span or to a definite context, yeah, we could conclude that this means this or that or the other. Do I make sense? But in the big infinite scheme of things, just as well, we could say that every conclusion is an illusion. Wendy is saying, yes, I think it's the ego that makes assumptions, has expectations, and makes conclusion. God bless it. I think so too, Wendy, yes. I truly think that it's only our mind that makes conclusions, think, so this is it. But you see, over the course of humanity, we have seen many conclusions that they seem to be quite fixed to actually change and not be accurate. For example, once upon a time, and funny enough though, there are people they think that nowadays they think that actually they were right. Once upon a time, people thought that the earth was flat, right? because based on their assumption, based on their belief and what they could see at the time, they were thinking that the earth was flat, right? Then they understood that actually no, the earth is round. They concluded as well long ago that that Earth, the planet Earth, was at the center of the universe. Okay, that all the other planets and stars were revolving around the Earth, and that was their conclusion. And they believed in that conclusion for a long time, until what? Until then, they discovered that actually no, the Earth is revolving around other planets. You see, we revolve around the sun, but again, and the sun is not, it was discovered afterwards that it's not the end of the universe. But think about yourself, how many times have you ever, and give us an example here, has it ever happened to you that you concluded something, meaning you were convinced that something was in a certain way, and then you realize that your conclusion was actually not accurate, was not a definite conclusion, and you changed your mind. Changing your mind, you dissolved, you changed, you transformed that conclusion, and maybe you arrived to a completely different conclusions. Do I make any sense? But I think what is interesting here and quite funny and fascinating at the same time, or it could also be tragic at times, is that the mind, our ego, goes from one conclusion to then maybe disregarding it, and then making up another conclusion, different but another conclusion, meaning, oh, it's not like this, it's like that, and then, oh no, it's not like that, it's like that. Okay. My invitation, my invite is for us all, and I think we are at a time in history when we can actually do that. It's meaning to transcend is this or that and fixed point of views. We can actually embrace all of them and none of them at the same time. In other words, we could have an attitude of, I would call it meta-awareness, which knows that now my opinion is of a certain kind, but I'm not concluding that that is it. It's just what my feeling at the moment. But I can do that and know that and express that, knowing and being aware and making other people aware that guys, this is only my opinion now, but I'm pretty sure that it could be changing. You see, that would be more accurate. Do I make sense? Because then, in fact, it does change it. Because you know what we call truth, what we call reality, it's in a constant flux of change. I mean, what was real many years ago is not real now, and it won't be real in the future. So whatever I can regard as being real and the truth for me and for us and whatever regarding everything, it will change because our experiences change, because our awareness, that what we discover on a personal, economic, global and universal level will change. But I saw that some of you has written something, and I don't know why. You see on this screen, I can't see the comments, but I can see them on this one. Sylvia says, as well as we finish a relationship, it's an illusion that there is a conclusion. A sentimental bond remains. I totally agree. Yes, I totally agree, Sylvia. And in fact, you remind me, hey, hello, Lucy. Great. Oh, I'm glad you like the topic. Sylvia, thank you for pointing that out, that when a relationship finishes, it's an illusion. And it's not a conclusion, it's the sentimental bond remains. Thank you so much. This is so important, you know, because in fact, again, I think every relationship is just transform itself. Meaning we go maybe for having a intimate sexual romantic relationship to having another kind of relationship, okay? But we still have a relationship, don't we? But our mind, our ego, it's because it concludes that it's finished. This is it. Because it's not how it used to be, it's the end. You know, it catastrophizes, it dramatizes. So it's almost as if, but we suffer because of that, don't we? We think, oh, this is it, it's ended. Well, if we were able and willing to see what actually is, which is it's the real thing, is that, hey, okay, we may not go to bed together anymore, we may not have sex together anymore, we may not call each other every 5 minutes or whatever you used to do, but I still feel for you, I wish the best for you, and I hold you in my heart, and maybe you do the same, and we may talk whenever, even though it's not so often. But you see, that it still is a relationship. Can we see it's still already, if we contextualize everything mentally even just in a slightly different ways, don't also our feelings about the whole subject change? I think so. And again, I think we are really in a moment in time, and this is actually because it's the last live of this year, and you know that you see, my biggest wish for the next year is continue to do what I'm doing, and continue to allow other people, to facilitate other people to be able to live their life in a more serene way as possible, okay? And I am seeing that the more we reflect upon, the more we interiorize what this concept that we are talking about, and the more we start even just simply considering, for example, that things never end, truly, they only end in our head. And when we see that things actually just transform, the life is never ending, we are never ending, everything becomes easier, doesn't it? And you see, the situation hasn't changed. The relationship has finished as we were having it. But has it really finished? No, because finish is a conclusion, is a judgment that we have believed. But if we can see behind, if we can transcend these mental labels, these conclusions, we can truly see that we cannot disengage in life itself, in the process of evolution. And when we stay in the process, at whatever point of the process we are, I guarantee you, the life becomes truly, truly amazing. And I mean wonderful, because you are always on the edge of the unknown. But it's a great unknown, because we know that there's no end to it. There is not conclusion. So if we embrace the reality, which is the big, vast reality, that nothing is ever gonna end, how could we not always be in a state of excitement? Personally speaking, it is really difficult not to be excited about anything. You see, many years ago, I used to be scared of death. I used to be anxious, thinking, oh, I have to do certain things, I have to achieve certain things. Will I be able to? Will I not be able to? How will I live my life? And blah, 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 blah. Now I think, and I feel it, I don't just think, who cares? who cares? Nobody's running after me. It's not finishing when I die. I just transition and go somewhere else, which, by the way, I'm very looking forward to it. No hurry, but I'm looking forward to it. And the awareness that our life, you see, everybody's life, it's never, ever, never, never ending. It is not, it has no conclusion. I cannot conclude anything or about myself, about yourself, or about whatever is happening. So it's always about being in a state of wonder. But I wonder what is going to happen. Knowing that whatever happens, we are going to be fine anyway. Because we are infinite. We are indestructible. We are unbreakable. Again, these words make sense when we focus on who we truly are, which is not this finite body. This finite body is beautiful, it's wonderful. It's like the vehicle I'm using here in this 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional life. But that's it. But that's not who I truly am. But the moment I forget, and I do forget, and I identify with this finite body, with Luca, I think, oh, sugar, okay, I might not make it, But then the moment I remember who I am and I contextualize everything, it's like, oh, what was I lost in? My mind, my conclusion, because my mind likes to conclude things. My mind likes to say, this is it. And if it's not it, okay, that it was wrong, it's another it, but still it's a it. Oh, wait, don't hit me anymore. I've been hit many times, too many times. I've had enough of being hit. Let me see. Walter says, Chiara and Walter are talking to each other. Hello, Evelyn. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you so much. Chiara says, in the past, I made conclusions that dictated by my emotions. Now I see the same situation without that filter. I observe it without judging it. For example, the end of friendship that had lasted a long time. Right. So are you saying, Chiara, that now you are not controlled or driven so much by your emotions? Oh no, your conclusions are not dictated by your emotions so much. Yes, you can observe it, without judging it. Wonderful. I think you are probably now more able to live in a state of what I like to call it neutrality. Right? Am I accurate? Meaning you're not locked into the conclusion realm, meaning it's right, wrong, good, bad. You're not judging things mentally, dualistic. You're not thinking in a binary way, on, off, good, bad, and so on and so forth. I think and I feel is because now you are becoming aware of who you truly are. Meaning you are not identifying anymore with your mind. And your mind, our mind, is that which our ego produces emotions. Because our emotions, either good emotions or bad emotions, as we call them, meaning either the pleasant one or the unpleasant ones, they are interpreted sensations. When we interpret something that happened, we feel an emotion. And that emotion makes us feel good or bad, but it's not what happened that generated the emotions, is the interpretation we gave to whatever happened. It's our mental story that generates our emotions. once we understand that, we understand that exactly that judgment, concluding something, sometimes it's inaccurate and it's very limiting, and sometimes it's not even half of the real story. We then allow ourselves to truly be present. We abstain from concluding or judging what is. We don't say, it's good, it's bad, which it would make us feel. If it says good, yeah, we feel elated. If we think it's bad, we feel angry or fearful or sad. We just look. And if we say everything, and I always say people, if we can tell our mind to say, who knows? Who knows? Because I think that's the reality is that, for example, me, when something happens, how do I know? What does Luca know? I could have my opinion, yeah, but it's my opinion, but I don't know why somebody is doing what they're doing, why things happen in a certain way. Sometimes I don't even know why I do what I do or why I feel in a certain way. Does it make sense? So when the day that I started to tell myself, or actually to train my mind to tell me, I don't know, who knows, maybe this, maybe that, maybe neither, maybe both, I am more able to be present, and I am more able to live, like I was telling you before, on the edge of the unknown, which I believe is a beautiful place to be, meaning, let's see what happens. Let's see what unfolds. Chiara says, so our emotions are our conclusions. Our emotions are your barometers. Yes, it's your being, your body that tells you how your mind is feeling about something. I repeat it. Emotions are the manifestation, the physical manifestations, or our opinion, our conclusions. Yes. In other words, if your mind, because you see, we make a distinction between body and mind, but they are united, it's the same thing. Your mind, our mind, is reflected through our body. Our body is the manifestation of our mind, and our emotions are the feeling, yes, the feeling of our thoughts. Do I make sense? So if I think negative thoughts, my body would be tense, I would feel fear, I would feel anxiety, but I used to feel like that very often, okay? When we are at peace, when we are happy, our body feels relaxed, feel excited. But this feeling of excitement or lethargy or fear, it's the representation of our thought processes. Do I make sense? In fact, it's impossible to think peaceful, serene, happy thoughts and to feel tense and anxious, or vice versa. It's impossible to think something very negative and feel at peace, serene. As a matter of fact, it's really hard. Try if you want to. Try when you're really angry, when you're really upset, when your body's really upset, when you are feeling an angry emotion. See if you can think or even say something kind to somebody else or to yourself. It's almost impossible, because the mind and the body, and the emotions, they are very connected. They are the expression one of the other. So yes, I would say that the body it tells how your body feels in any given moment, is telling you what your thought process is. If you are somebody that thinks a lot, okay? But then I think when you are more able to transcend thinking, and when you are more able to not identify yourself so much with your thinking processes, then the state of being you acquire it's I say more neutral, so to speak. You feel less the state of being you are in is not quite, it's not so easily identifiable with a emotion. It's almost like you feel all emotions and none in the same time, but you're very alive, you're very present, okay? But it's almost like there's an inner power, inner joy, inner aliveness, which is, it's different from just being emotional. That emotion that is triggered by something outside. Don't know if I explain myself clearly enough, but Sylvia says, our emotions create our reality. Yeah, our emotions are our energy emotions. Whatever we feel an emotion, we are already resonating, yes, and attracting something similar. Yes, absolutely. Wendy said, but it is only temporary, isn't it? Yes, emotions are only temporary. Yes, exactly. Emotions are only temporary. Thanks for pointing this out. Yes, every emotions, every primary emotions, every organic raw emotion has got a very, very short span of life. In other words, okay, if we were living like children do, without filters and without judgment, in other words, without judging ourselves from feeling any emotions, we would live, we would be very temperamental, like kids. And some people are like that, believe me. And these people, sometimes they're not judging their emotional life so much. In other words, something happens and I'm happy and I'm like, wow, very happy, like a kid. Okay, but think about it. You may know some adults that do that. And I'm like, wow, that's wonderful. Something happened that I don't like, and some people, and also some people in the public figures that can be like that, is like, you stupid idiot, I'm feeling mad about it. You know, they get hit up. But then, if this kind of person normally, you can say that, I'm very happy or I'm very upset about this. Soon afterwards, because they express the emotions, which is energy, so beautifully, so to speak, so freely, let's say, that the emotion is subdued, and then they're left with a state of calmness. Do it make sense? Like, for example, I know there are some masters, they are like that, they're very calm, but if they need to, oh my gosh, they would really tell you, or they go right for it, or they'd be really happy. But then they go back into a state of peace. Yes, I don't know if, Wendy, that's what you mean. But yes, if we were truly managing and feeling and using the emotional energy without judgment, in a very natural, organic way, yes, we would be like very high, maybe very down, but then the emotion would go. Every emotion, scientifically, is regarded to not last longer than between half an hour and 45 minutes. If it's a really, truly strong emotions, seriously. But why? But then also, this is the organic first emotion, okay? Then they're called the secondary emotions. But the secondary emotions, they are the ones that they're generated by our judgment. Meaning, I feel angry, okay? And I don't tell you that I'm angry. You say something or you do something that I truly don't like, but because in the name of shyness or education, politeness, whatever, it's not that I do it out of nastiness, but I'm not used to say what I feel. So I keep that energy in, okay? So I don't allow that anger, primary raw anger, to come out. That anger energy, because then I move on from the situation, but the energy stays there. But then over time, I may fester some kind of resentment. Does it make sense? Resentment towards you, maybe towards other, maybe I don't trust people. Do I make sense? Because you see, this is all the effect of judgment and prejudgment, judgments, basically, and conclusions. You see, if we didn't have that, we would let energy out, but we keep energy in, and then we create what are called secondary emotions. They're the emotions that are more difficult to deal with because they're all mind created. They are basically conclusions about my primary emotions, okay? and they're very difficult to deal with. When I work with people, for example, in sessions, it's really what you want to do. My aim is to get down to the primary emotion, but it's not so easy. You have to be skillful and use the right technique at the right moment. Because otherwise people, they fool you. They're into their story. Maybe you can feel that there is their talk, and maybe they feel that they discomfort or whatever, but you can tell it's not a primary emotion. Because when somebody can really get to the primary emotion, whoa, it can really let it out, and then everything is different. I hope I answered your question, Wendy. But yes, thank you for reminding. Yes, emotions are temporary unless they're locked in us. But for example, if we are anxious, if we are frustrated, we are dealing with a secondary emotions. So we have to really dig down and see what is it that I left underneath and I didn't allow myself to feel in the first place. When you say a conclusion to me at this moment in time is like an ending, unchanging, permanent. A conclusion to me at this moment in time is like an ending, yes, unchanging, permanent. Yes, yeah, that's the real meaning of conclusion exactly, is that I concluded, it's finished, it's gone. But that is only from a fear-based thinking. Well, I think so. I don't know, it depends which situations we are talking about, but I think so, because every conclusion, if we looked at it from a spiritual, infinite standpoint, it is an illusion, okay? So I think, yes, it is fear-based, meaning it is based on something that is not ultimately true, I think. Yes, because, for example, like, you see, even the words they say, an ending, but nothing really truly ends, does it? In our mind, yes, everything ends, but organically, nothing really ends. Life is never ending, unchanging, permanent. I mean, I'm changing. Well, you're talking about a permanent, unchangeable, something that is unchangeable, and it will always be unchangeable. You see that? I think that is an untruth, isn't it? And every untruth, if we go down, deep down, it could be out of fear. But then again, that's only my opinion, you see. We'd have to see what the context is. But you see, nothing in the universe is unchanging. Not even our mentality, our mindset. It can be fixed for a certain amount of time, but would it really stay the same forever? I don't even think that would stay the same forever. Syria says, if we have conclusions, opinions without emotions, if we have conclusions, opinions, are you talking if we can have conclusions, opinions without emotions? I think so. You could conclude something or rationally, but maybe your conclusion doesn't stir any emotions in you, or maybe that conclusion it wasn't based on an emotional factor. Do I make sense? Like, for example, Chiara was saying that her conclusions used to be based on their emotions. So I imagine Chiara was angry about something, so maybe she concluded he or she are in whatever way, or this situation is whatever it is. Or maybe she was happy and that energy was driving her to think, oh, this is wonderful, he or them, they are amazing, or whatever else. But I imagine that somebody could be of a different character and personality, and maybe he or she is not a very emotional kind of person, maybe quite poised and calm, but maybe their mind would conclude that yes, he or she are whatever, nice, they are terrible, the situation is, I guess, but I'm not sure. You see what I mean? I think it depends by what kind of person we are. If we are more driven by our emotions or by our rational thinking processes. When they say, you just describe me there, Luke, how wonderful. Oh, so you're like, oh, that's great. Like a kid without filter, without judging how he or she feels. Great. Great. Yeah, that's wonderful. I like to consider people like that alive, truly alive. Truly alive. Great. Natasha says, I am living my life waiting for my future, accepting that will happen. I mean, I feel myself ready to live my life now, without being afraid for future or the death. I'm curious but in peace. Oh, I understand how you feel. I feel exactly totally the same. Yes. Living your life waiting for the future, I feel that will happen, yes. Feel ready to live my life now without being afraid of it. Yes, yes, me too. I'm looking forward to die. No hurry, but I look forward to it. I'm absolutely certain that it's gonna be amazing. Yes, yes. And Kiara says, if we learn to express our emotions, we do not make conclusions. Equal. We have no illusions. Oh, let me read it again. If we learned, by the way, it's really weird. I'm not reading the same comments on the two different phones, but if we learn to express our emotions, we do not make conclusions. Equal. We have no illusions. Not necessarily, I don't think. If we learn to express our emotion, we do not make conclusions. No, you could make a conclusion and feel your emotion. We have no illusions. Let me think. I think it depends. So let's say you express your emotion all the time. You do not make conclusions. No, you could express I think you could express your emotion, allow yourself to express your emotions based on your conclusion. Meaning, I conclude that this is shit, and because I think this is shit, whatever happened, for example, I get mad at this. I don't like this, okay? And then I think that something else is wonderful. I like it. I think, this is great. You see, but my conclusion I have conclusions. But the thing is that the effect of my conclusions, over my mind conclusions, are short-lived by my emotional outburst, meaning I'm not caging in the emotions. Do I make sense? But at the same time, we could have not have many conclusions about many things, and we are not outbursting emotionally, but maybe on other areas of our life we do have conclusions, and in that area maybe we let out the emotional outburst that we feel. Do I make sense? But then how long the emotions last, I think it depends of how we judge our emotional burst. So it's the conclusion we have about our emotion, about expressing our emotions. Do I make sense? Because you see, I think somebody could be brought up in a family where there were conclusions about what they learned to make many conclusions about many things, but not about their emotionality, not about their expressing their emotions. Maybe somewhere else they had one of the main judgment and conclusions was, that you're not allowed to express your emotions or to express your anger. Do I make sense? And so maybe they don't have many conclusions, many value judgments, many opinions of many other areas in their life, but maybe they are judging, they have strong conviction, and they're concluding that expressing themselves emotionally is not a good thing. So maybe they are, it seems that they're not making many conclusions about other things, but about their emotional expressions. I don't know if I express myself clearly, but I think it's so complex. It depends what we conclude about what. So to answer the question, I don't know. I don't think that if we learn to express our emotions, it means that we have no illusions and no conclusions. But also, I think in this reality, it's really difficult, not to conclude ever anything and not to have any illusions. Maybe, probably, yes, it is possible. But again, if we are looking at something in a context, our mind most probably will conclude something, will think, okay, this is, so I'm assuming, I'm concluding that, okay? And I think that's normal. It would be almost utopistic and impossible to believe that our mind will never do that again. Although what is possible, and I think that's when our true awareness comes in, it's that even though this process is happening, we are not identifying with it as much as maybe we could or we used to. And we are able to look at it and we realize that, hey, wait a moment, it could be like that, but it could be not. So that's when true awareness comes in. That's when our essence comes in and goes maybe, okay, I don't know, is it truly? But our mind, I think sometimes we still think that something is in that way. I mean, I'm talking for me, myself, personally. It's not that my mindset has changed drastically since many years ago. It has a bit, but what comes in is the awareness of me not identifying with it so much. Because when I choose to identify with it, believe me, consciously or unconsciously, I become a firework. Truly, like Wendy's saying, oh, amazingly. And it's amazing. Sometimes it's wonderful. But sometimes I choose, no, I think, you know what, you tell me your story and it's a story and leave me alone. And I laugh at what my mind is telling me. But if I was believing it, if I was concluding that that is it, oh, wow, I could really be so elated because I concluded that something is amazingly wonderful, like my mind is saying, and then I realized, oh, okay, it was a firework about nothing, could be anything, which is wonderful. And the other side of the coin is when my mind tells me this is shit, whatever it is, and I think, oh my gosh, no. You see, but now I'm able to see these happenings, and it's almost as if I laugh and smile in my mind, and I think you're just amazing. You're an amazing tool. Do I make sense? But then, of course, when I am low energy, when I am tired, I'm maybe totally identifying with it, okay? And then later on, I realized, Luca, what have you done? I mean, it's ridiculous. Made so many conclusions, and many of them that just were not right. But I mean, that's life, isn't it? When you say you actually answered my question before you got to it, oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Sylvia says, often when someone asks my opinion about something, I tell, in this period I think so, or in this moment I feel so, because I know that I will change that I will change, and also my thoughts. Yeah, well, that's a very, very, I would say, accurate and self-aware way of behaving. Yes, exactly, because I mean, reality is that now we feel something. Now my opinion is this. Ask me tomorrow or in 6 months' time. Who knows? And I think, isn't it beautiful when we can laugh at ourselves, to speak, and also not take ourselves first and others so seriously, knowing, okay, this is how the mental trend is going, and okay, yeah, all fine. But before we make a conclusion, let's see right? Yeah, it's fascinating. So, yes, I think that we can conclude everything as much as we can. But how do we know that our conclusion will always be accurate? That is us today. Ask me tomorrow. Yes. Absolutely. it's fine. I laugh now because I'm thinking, if it's quite a few years now, but but I'm already half. Okay, I'm 50 now. Let's say if you asked me when I was 25 years old about many things that we mentioned here, like if you ask me, if you ask me, who are you, right? I would have concluded that I was a human being that was born and that was going to die, was probably full stop. And I don't know, because I wasn't really open to exposed, so to speak, so much like I am now to spirituality and whatever else you have it. But I could see myself maybe arguing. If I met myself saying to myself then, when I used to be 25, telling the things that I say now, I may have concluded that I myself now saying this thing is you're crazy, you know, are you imagining all this? Have you banged your head against something or what? You see, that was my conclusion then. My conclusions now, which are not conclusions, they're more open, but it's different, very different. Chiara says, do our vibrations change our conclusions? Ask too many questions. No, you never ask too many questions. I love questions, Chiara. I love them. Do our vibrations change our... Yeah, I think so. I think so, yes. Because you see, the cycle is that our thoughts affects, generates our emotions. And our emotions are our vibrations, okay? But it can also be the other way around. Our vibrations, our emotions, trigger our thoughts. You see... And here we get into the realm, does come first, the chicken or the eggs, in this thoughts, feelings kind of cycle? I truly don't know. I think it depends. Sometimes it's really difficult to know, I think, when, because I thought something consciously or unconsciously, and then I had the feeling and then the emotion came. Or maybe we see something and makes us feel because of an association in a certain way, which could be pleasant or unpleasant, and then the thoughts that comes from that vibration is of the same kind, which it could be pleasant or unpleasant. So, but yes, I do think that our vibrations affect our conclusions. Yeah, I think so. There can't be any conclusions, really. Change cannot allow it. Yes, chicken egg, yeah, explanation of consciousness, expansion of consciousness. Yeah, well, there can't be any conclusions, really. Yeah, Wendy, I don't think so either. I think, well, I would say yes and no at the same time. I think it all depends. If somebody is focusing on something in particular, then he says, okay, based on my assumptions and based on like what I have seen from, let's say, yesterday to today, I can conclude that, I don't know, that life, that day was terrible. But my conclusion that life was terrible, it could be based, like, I don't know, maybe you weren't here at the beginning, Wendy, but I was saying, let's say here 2020. Now we're closing now, but exactly. Let's do what are we concluded about this here, 2020? Okay, somebody, and he or she would have the total right to say, it's been a terrible year. Why? Because their conclusions is based upon the fact that certain things happened, okay? Many people lost their lives and so on and so forth. Some other people could say, oh, it was a wonderful year, because they're basing their conclusion on the fact that we have more time for ourselves, we are discovering who we truly are, and so on and so forth. Doesn't make sense. But so ultimately, I would see that from an ultra conscious state, a very conscious state, we could say, yes, they are making their conclusion, and yes, based upon what they are relating to their conclusion, yes, they exist. But at the same time, no, because you see, one conclusion can be different from the other. So I would say yes, no, yes at the same time. They're both valid, they're both not valid. But ultimately, is a conclusion an illusion? I would say yes and no, unless you frame it. Do I make any sense? But that is still from a false self-base. Well, you see, when I think that everything that is mind created is ultimately false. Does it make sense? Meaning it's not absolute. It'll never last. It's just made. It's just created out of nothing. Anyway, I have to go now. I'm getting late. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I was thinking, because I was enrolled in whatever the conversation, but Evelyn, I haven't seen you yet since you said hello. So I didn't know if you were just passing by or you wanted to pop in. But anyway, ciao, everybody. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful end of 2020. I wish you a wonderful 2021, and I'll see you next year. Ciao.